So my dad said, you should be such a loser.
When you were 17 years old, you're working at Glendora High School as a janitor and helping move people on the weekends. And there was a friend of your family's who was a landlord, and very awkward conversation ensued where he said, my parents said, hey, you're such a loser. How are you so successful? So tell us about Jim Rohn and the influence you had on your life and the question that you asked the landlord, and he said, no fucking way, I'm not doing that. You do it yourself.
Well, I had to help support my family because we didn't have enough money for food. So I'm going to school, and I kept 2 different jobs as a janitor because I could work in the middle of the night, and they didn't pay you by the hour. They paid you by the result. So I could do 2 banks in the middle of the night, do a great job, and take the buses home and contribute. And then on the weekends, I would try to find something to do also because you didn't have to do the banks then. And my mom and dad knew this man who, as my dad's words were, he used to be such a loser. Now he's so successful. And I wonder what happened to him. And all he was he was buying properties, fixing them up and flipping them in Orange County, California in the 1970s, 1977. And the market was exploding. So he was doing very well. So he was very efficient in his workforce to move things. And so he always hired a high school student. And I had been 5'1" in my sophomore year, and I got a tumor in my brain. No one knew that's why. And I grew 10 inches in a year. So I was like, get that big strapping guy. We'll do this. So I come, and I'm a hard worker. And after 2 days of working my guts out, he's like, you're the hardest working guy I've ever met. He goes, I'm really impressed. Let me take you to lunch. So he takes me to lunch, and he starts asking questions. I said, I want to ask you some questions. I said, my dad, and I wasn't trying to be harsh or funny. It's just when you're a kid, you just don't realize. I said, my dad said you should be such a loser. Now you're so successful. Like, how'd you do that? He was taken back, obviously. So Dad said, what? And he goes, it's probably pretty accurate about me. I said, well, what changed you? And he said, I went to a seminar.